When I moved to Austin 2 years ago, I thought finding a close-knit group of friends with families would be the best thing that ever happened to me. As a 29-year-old graphic designer living alone in my downtown apartment, I craved that sense of belonging after leaving everything behind in Chicago. These three couples became my chosen family, and their children called me Aunt Iris. I loved being the reliable friend always ready to help when they needed me. I thought being the reliable friend was a blessing, but I had no idea how wrong I was about what friendship really meant. Before I tell you how wrong I was, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Trust me, you will want to hear what happened when my kindness was taken for granted. After my breakup with Jake back in Chicago, I decided to focus entirely on building my freelance graphic design business, rather than rushing into another relationship. Austin felt like the perfect fresh start with its vibrant creative scene and laid-back atmosphere. Working from my cozy one-bedroom apartment overlooking the downtown skyline, I had the freedom to set my own schedule and choose my clients. The income was steady, and I was finally feeling confident about my career direction. That is when I met Jennifer at a neighborhood coffee shop. She had just moved to the same building with her husband David and their two kids. We bonded over late-night conversations about adjusting to a new city, and she quickly introduced me to her mom friends from the local playground group. Sarah and Tom lived in the suburbs with their two daughters, Emma and Lily. Sarah worked in marketing for a tech startup while Tom was a software engineer. They seemed like the perfect power couple, always posting beautiful family photos on social media. Then there was Amanda and Kevin, who lived just a few blocks away from me. Amanda taught preschool and had this wonderful way with children, while Kevin worked in pharmaceutical sales and traveled frequently for work. Their son Lucas was this energetic 5-year-old who could make anyone laugh within minutes. Finally, Jennifer worked as a nurse at the local hospital, often pulling long shifts, while David was a mechanic who specialized in vintage cars. Their daughter Maya was 3, and their son Noah was 7, and absolutely obsessed with dinosaurs. I met them all through Jennifer during one of those summer barbecues that seemed to happen every weekend in Texas. They welcomed me with open arms, and I felt like I had finally found my tribe. The kids immediately adopted me as their honorary aunt, and I loved every minute of it. Coming from a small family back east, this felt like having siblings and nieces and nephews all at once. The first time Jennifer asked for help, it felt completely natural. Noah had gotten sick at school, and she needed someone to watch Maya while she picked him up and took him to the pediatrician. David was working late that day, and she was in a complete panic. I immediately canceled my client meeting and rushed over to help. Watching little Maya color at the kitchen table while Jennifer handled the crisis made me feel useful and needed in a way I had never experienced before. A few weeks later, Sarah called asking if I could watch Emma and Lily for their first date night in months. Tom had surprised her with reservations at this fancy steakhouse downtown, and their regular babysitter had canceled last minute. I spent the evening making homemade pizza with the girls and watching Disney movies until they fell asleep on my couch. When Sarah and Tom came to pick them up, they looked so refreshed and happy that I felt proud of helping them reconnect as a couple. Amanda was next facing an emergency overtime shift when her usual childcare arrangements fell through. I picked up Lucas from daycare and brought him back to my apartment, where we built elaborate Lego cities until Kevin got home from his business trip. These moments of helping my friends felt meaningful, like I was contributing to something bigger than just my own life. But somewhere along the way, the emergency requests started feeling less urgent. Sarah began calling with requests like, "Since you are free anyway, would you mind watching the girls while I get my nails done with the ladies?" Amanda would say things like, "You do not have kids to worry about, so could you take Lucas for a few hours while I go shopping?" Jennifer started using phrases like, "Your schedule is so flexible," whenever she wanted a girls' night out. I began to notice that their requests were becoming more frequent and less apologetic. The thank you texts got shorter, and the appreciation seemed to fade. Still, I convinced myself that they were just getting comfortable with me, that this was what close friendships looked like. They were stressed parents dealing with demanding jobs and small children. Surely I could spare a few hours here and there to make their lives easier. The morning that changed everything started with a text from Sarah in our group chat. Ladies, we need to talk about childcare coordination. Can everyone meet at Brewster Cafe this afternoon? I assumed we would be discussing sharing the cost of a nanny, or organizing some kind of babysitting co-op where we all took turns helping each other. I was excited about the prospect of making our informal arrangement more organized and fair. When I arrived at the coffee shop, all three couples were already seated around a large table looking unusually serious. Sarah had a folder in front of her, and I noticed Amanda taking notes on her phone. Jennifer avoided eye contact, which should have been my first warning sign. I ordered my usual latte and settled into the empty chair they had saved for me. Thanks for coming, Iris. Sarah began with a bright smile. We have been talking, and we realize how much you have been helping us with the kids. We really appreciate it, and we want to make sure everyone knows what to expect going forward. She opened the folder and pulled out a printed document that made my blood run cold. It was a schedule. A detailed color-coded schedule with my name at the top, and their children's names filling up every weekday. Monday was designated for Lucas during Amanda's yoga class. Tuesday belonged to Emma and Lily, while Sarah attended her book club. Wednesday was Maya and Noah during Jennifer's therapy appointments. Thursday was Lucas again while Kevin played golf. Friday was marked as flexible for emergency coverage. The weekends were labeled available as needed for couple time. I stared at the paper, unable to process what I was seeing. This was not a discussion or a request. This was a mandate presented as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The coffee shop noise faded into background static as I tried to find my voice. You are always saying you want to help more. Sarah continued, completely oblivious to my shock. And this way we can all plan ahead instead of bothering you with last-minute requests. It is really a win-win situation for everyone. Amanda nodded enthusiastically. It is not like you have real commitments during the day. Working from home gives you so much freedom that most of us do not have. Her tone was almost envious, as if my freelance lifestyle was some kind of luxury, rather than something I had worked hard to build. Jennifer finally spoke up, her voice slightly apologetic, but still matter of fact. Think of it as practice for when you have kids someday. You will be such an amazing mom with all this experience. The condescension in her words stung more than I expected. Tom, who had been quietly sipping his coffee, added, "We could pay for groceries when the kids eat at your place. That seems fair, right?" The casual way he suggested this token gesture, as if feeding children I watched for hours was some kind of generous compensation, left me speechless. I tried to respond diplomatically, my voice barely above a whisper. I appreciate that you all think so highly of me, but I do have work deadlines and client meetings to consider. My schedule might look flexible, but it is actually pretty demanding. Sarah cut me off with a wave of her hand. That is the beauty of freelancing, though, right? Total flexibility. You can work around the kids' schedules, and they love spending time with you anyway. It is perfect. I looked around the table, hoping to see some recognition that they were asking for something enormous, but everyone just smiled expectantly. They genuinely seemed to believe that they were offering me a wonderful opportunity, rather than demanding 40 to 50 hours of unpaid childcare per month. The conversation continued for another 20 minutes, with them discussing logistics as if I had already agreed. They talked about pickup times, meal preferences, and emergency contact information. I sat there numbly clutching my coffee cup and wondering when exactly I had stopped being a friend and started being treated like an employee they did not have to pay. When I did not immediately confirm the schedule, the group chat pressure began almost immediately. Iris, did you get a chance to look over the childcare schedule? We need to confirm by Friday so everyone can plan accordingly. Then came the passive-aggressive comments when I still did not respond. Guess some people are too busy for their friends these days. The guilt-tripping escalated quickly. The kids keep asking why Aunt Iris does not want to play with them anymore. Sarah posted a vague Facebook status about fake friends who disappear when you need them most. and Amanda made pointed comments about how nice it must be to have zero responsibilities. I felt increasingly isolated, beginning to doubt whether these friendships had ever been authentic, or if I had simply been a convenient solution to their childcare problems all along. 3 weeks after the coffee shop ambush, I was struggling to balance my actual work with their increasing demands. A client called to complain about a delayed project because I had been watching kids during what should have been work hours. I missed an important networking event because of a last-minute babysitting emergency that turned out to be Amanda wanting to get her hair done. A promising date from a dating app canceled our dinner plans when I had to back out to watch Lucas for the third time that month. The breaking point came on a rainy Thursday night in October. I was editing a particularly challenging logo design when my phone buzzed at 11:15. Jennifer's name appeared on the screen with a text that made me immediately grab my keys. Emergency: Noah has a high fever, and David is working a late shift. I need to take him to the ER, but I cannot leave Maya alone. Please come now. I threw on clothes over my pajamas and drove through the torrential rain, my heart racing with worry about little Noah. Jennifer sounded so panicked in her message that I imagined the worst-case scenarios during the entire drive to their house. When I arrived, I was surprised to see David's car in the driveway, but I figured he must have gotten home just before I arrived. Jennifer answered the door wearing a black cocktail dress and heels, her makeup perfectly applied. Behind her, I could see David adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror. Noah was sitting on the couch in his pajamas, looking completely healthy while watching cartoons and eating cereal. "Oh, change of plans," Jennifer said casually, not meeting my eyes. "David came home early, so we do not need to go to the hospital after all. But since you are already here, would you mind watching Maya? We have not had a proper date night in weeks, and we already have reservations." The realization hit me like a physical blow. I had been lied to completely. There was no emergency, no fever, no hospital visit. They had planned this entire evening and used a fabricated crisis to manipulate me into providing free childcare. Maya was crying because she was confused about why Mommy and Daddy were leaving again, and Noah looked embarrassed as if he knew something was wrong but could not quite articulate it. "Thanks, you are the best," Jennifer called over her shoulder as she and David headed for the door. Neither of them made eye contact, and they left before I could even process what had just happened. I sat in their dimly lit living room listening to Maya's quiet sobs as she fell asleep in my lap, and had what I can only describe as an epiphany. This was not friendship. This was exploitation disguised as closeness. I was not being loved. I was being used. That night, while Maya slept peacefully on the couch, I did some research on my phone. Professional babysitting rates in Austin ranged from $18 to $25 per hour, with premium rates for last-minute requests and overnight care. I calculated the hours I had spent watching their children over the past 8 months, approximately 15 to 20 hours per week. At market rates, I had provided somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 worth of childcare services. The next morning, I formulated a plan. Instead of confronting them directly or having an emotional argument, I decided to give them exactly what they had asked for: a professional childcare arrangement. I spent the weekend creating a comprehensive service agreement, complete with rates, policies, and terms that reflected industry standards. My base rate would be $22 per hour, with a premium rate of $35 for requests made with less than 24 hours notice. There would be a $50 cancellation fee for appointments canceled with less than day notice. Payment would be due within 48 hours of service completion. I also established professional boundaries I would not do. Household chores, meal preparation would be an additional charge, and my availability would be Monday through Friday from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening, with weekends by appointment only. On Monday morning, I sent a professional email to all 3 couples with the subject line, "Childcare Services Agreement." The message was polite and businesslike. "After careful consideration of our current arrangement, I am happy to formalize our childcare coordination. Please find attached my service agreement and rate schedule. I look forward to continuing to provide professional childcare services for your families." The response was immediate and explosive. Within minutes, my phone was buzzing with notifications from the group chat. Sarah was first. "Are you seriously trying to charge us for babysitting?" Amanda quickly followed. "This is ridiculous. We are supposed to be friends." Jennifer's message was the most hurtful. "I cannot believe you would put money between our friendship like this." The men chimed in too. Kevin wrote, "Professional nannies cost way more than friends should charge friends." Tom added, "Maybe you need to reconsider your priorities here." David's message was the most condescending. "Friends help friends without keeping score or expecting payment." I let them vent in the group chat for several hours before crafting my response. When I finally replied, my message was calm and measured. "You are absolutely right that friends should not charge friends for favors. However, friends also do not create schedules expecting 40 hours of free labor per month. Friends do not lie about medical emergencies to secure date night coverage. Friends do not dismiss each other's time and professional commitments as unimportant." I continued, "I thought we were friends too, but clearly I was mistaken. The service agreement is for clients, not friends. When you are ready to actually be friends again instead of employers who do not pay, please let me know." Then I left the group chat and blocked their attempts to call. The silence that followed was deafening. For 2 weeks, none of them attempted to contact me outside of a few passive-aggressive social media posts that I chose to ignore. I focused on my work, picked up new clients, and started to remember what it felt like to have control over my own schedule again. Meanwhile, they were discovering the reality of Austin's childcare market. Professional babysitters charged $25 to $30 per hour, and most required booking well in advance. The reliable last-minute coverage they had taken for granted simply did not exist in the commercial market. Their weekly childcare bills jumped to $400 to $600 per family, and coordinating schedules became a nightmare without their free option. After 3 weeks of expensive babysitters and canceled plans, Jennifer appeared at my apartment door on a Saturday morning. She looked tired and slightly defeated, holding a coffee from my favorite shop as a peace offering. "We need to talk," she said. "We made mistakes and I think we can work this out." I invited her in, curious to hear what she had to say. She sat on my couch and admitted that they had taken advantage of my generosity, though she was quick to add that we did not mean it maliciously. "We got comfortable with the arrangement and forgot to show proper appreciation," she continued. "You were always so willing to help that we started taking it for granted." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. "We want to pay you for all the babysitting you did. We collected money from everyone." Inside the envelope was $200 in cash. I stared at it for a moment, then started laughing. "Jennifer, this works out to about $2 per hour for 8 months of childcare. That is less than I made at my first job in high school." She became defensive immediately. "We fed you when you were here and you always said you loved spending time with the kids. It was not like you were suffering." Her tone revealed that she still did not truly understand what they had done wrong. "I do love the children," I replied calmly. "Maya and Noah and Emma and Lily and Lucas are wonderful kids. But I do not love being manipulated and taken advantage of by people I trusted." She tried to argue that it had never been manipulation, just friends helping friends, but her words rang hollow. In the end, I offered a compromise that reflected genuine friendship rather than exploitation. I would be available for true emergencies with advance notice when possible, and appropriate compensation that reflected the value of professional childcare. Some of the relationships survived this boundary setting, though they looked very different than before. Jennifer and I maintained a cordial friendship, though we were never as close as we had been. The others faded away completely, apparently unable to accept a relationship that did not include free labor. I found new friends through my professional network and hobby groups, people who valued my time and respected my boundaries from the start. My career flourished without constant interruptions, and I eventually started dating Marcus, a fellow creative entrepreneur who understood the demands of freelance work. Looking back, I realized that learning to distinguish between generous friendship and being a convenient doormat was one of the most important lessons of my adult life. Real friends respect your time, your work, and your right to say no. They appreciate your help instead of expecting it, and they never make you feel guilty for having boundaries. Setting those boundaries did not end my friendships. It revealed which relationships were authentic and which were based on what I could provide rather than who I was as a person. The people who truly cared about me understood when I started valuing my own time. The ones who did not were never really my friends to begin with. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is learning that your kindness deserves to be valued, not taken for granted. True friendship is built on mutual respect and consideration, not on one person constantly giving, while others constantly take. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where friends or family expected you to always be available just because your life looked different from theirs? How did you handle setting boundaries without losing relationships? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you, and subscribe for more real-life experiences about navigating difficult relationships. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear that their time and energy matter just as much as everyone else's. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that you deserve friends who value you for who you are, not just what you can do for them.